We are on. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, we are going to be talking today about the state of the United Kingdom. I just watched the video. Well, I watched the first like 10 seconds of this video that Robert Jenrick posted. I am going to share that. I am going to share that with you guys. We'll listen to that together. Now, listen, if you live in the United Kingdom right now, everybody, like, again, whether you live in the United Kingdom or whether you're overseas and you're looking in on what's happening in the United Kingdom, there's a peculiar feeling. Like, and I don't think, like, and people can't put their fingers on it. People are thinking, yes, something is just off. Something is just not right in the United Kingdom. Now, I'm going to share a video with you guys. Well, I'm going to play the video and you'll just be able to hear the sound. Now, this is going to be the crux of the video. Now, it's talking about the legal system in the United Kingdom and how absolutely ridiculously flawed it is. So if you guys just bear with me a second. Right, how do I get this up? Right, I need to get my, where am I going on this? I need to click that one. So this is a video that Robert Jenrick posted. Now, obviously, for those of you guys who don't know, they're gearing up Robert Jenrick to be the next Prime Minister. Hang on, guys. So they're gearing up Robert Jenrick to be the next British Prime Minister. Right, let me just see what happens here. So he posted a video earlier on X, and I'm gonna let you guys. I'm gonna play this a minute, guys. Okay. All right, log in. Right. Right. So I'm just gonna. Right. So I'm gonna play this video now, guys. All right. So like I said, this is a video from Robert Jenrick. I am going to play this video again at some point in this live stream, so don't worry if you're just getting the back of it, the back end of it. But this is a video now about our Attorney General. And for those of you guys who don't know what the Attorney General is in the United Kingdom, the Attorney General is kind of like the leading. It's like the judge for the country, basically. So I'm going to play this now. Is the volume on? I think the volume's on. Yeah, I'm going to play this now, guys. And I've not listened to this video myself. I listened to about 10 seconds and I thought, right, I'm actually going to listen to this video with everybody together. So we are going to listen to this video together and let's just play it.
That Keir Starmer's Attorney General, Lord Hermer, represented all these clients. He says cab rank rule, and it's a vital legal principle. Gary, what's the cab rank rule?
It means the first cab of any rank must take the first customer.
Easy. And it's the same for many lawyers. Criminal barristers can represent people accused of horrific crimes because everyone knows they had to take the case. What's true for our criminal barristers just wasn't true for Lord Herman. He was a top human rights lawyer. He would have been inundated with cases, able to choose the pick of the bunch. And what's more, he often worked on a pro bono or no win, no fee basis. And the cab rank rule just doesn't apply to these cases. In other words, when Hermer's cab arrived, he chose his passenger.
So just for context, guys, what we're listening to here is Robert Jenrick talking about this guy, Lord Hermer, who is the Attorney General of the United Kingdom. So he is, as I understand it, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong on this, guys, right? The Attorney General is it's like the head of the legal system for the United Kingdom. He's like the head judge. Now, what he's saying here is Robert Jenrick in this video is criminal defense lawyers. So when, like, when like a really bad crime happens and it's absolutely so disgusting that you have to, like, you're like, wow, who would actually want to represent that person or those people that have done that crime? Well, there's something called cab rank rule. And again, I didn't know this, guys. I genuinely didn't know this. But cab rank rule is where the barristers or the solicitors or whatever, they have to accept the first criminal case that comes to them. So even if it's a really bad case, like, I don't want to mention things and, I don't want to mention really bad things, but you guys can think of what I'm talking about. Even if it's really bad, and people say, right, how can you represent these people? Then you've got something called cab rank rule, which basically means those solicitors, those barristers had no choice because they have to take the first case that comes to them. But apparently, this guy, Lord Hermer, he's been picking and choosing. This is from what we're hearing now, guys, from Robert Jenrick, right? He's chose these people. Now, just listen here, guys, to the people that he chose.
Jerry Adams, not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 terrorists linked to Al-Qaeda, including 2 of Osama bin Laden's lieutenants, 1 linked to 9/11, and 1 to 21/7. The mother of an ISIS beetle, Shamima Begum, Caribbean nation demanding reparations, and an Eritrean who was here illegally, who claimed to be 16, who was actually 26.
So that's just a snapshot there of this guy, Lord Hermer. And remember, guys, he is in charge of the legal system in the United Kingdom. I don't think that there's nobody above him that has a greater say on our laws, legislations. And, you know, this is, as I understand it, this is the guy that wouldn't let Lucy Connolly out of jail.
If someone wants to spend their life defending Britain's enemies, that's on them and their conscience. But that someone shouldn't be chosen to be our Attorney General. We've never had an Attorney General so connected to so many people suing the British government.
So can you imagine this now, guys? We have got an Attorney General, all right, so head of the UK legal system. We have got an Attorney General now who has been actively supporting people who are against Britain. So they're against me, they're against you, they're against anybody else that considers themselves or identifies themselves as British. Now, this guy, like, how can you have, and again, such a perceived enemy of the country running the legal system? What hope do we have? You know, and it kind of makes you understand now why so many bad people are getting let out of prison.
Now, before the general election, Hermer represented 5 Sri Lankans seeking asylum in the United Kingdom. They lost the case. After the election, they were granted asylum in a special deal. Now, even if all the correct procedures were put in place on conflicts of interest, even the perception of this kind of stuff damages public trust.
And that's what we're talking about here, guys. And that's why I opened this stream and I talked to, you know, the name of this stream is Be Afraid If You Live in the United Kingdom, the state of the United Kingdom. And this is what we're talking about here, guys, the perception of public trust. And this is, everything now revolves around public trust and optics, because I'm looking at what's happening in the United Kingdom, and it's my perception, like Robert Jenrick saying there, it's my perception that there is no public trust in the government anymore. And as someone who served in the military many, many years, been to lots of different overseas deployments, that trust in the government, when you lose that trust in the government, you lose a lot more than trust in the government.
Last week, people called for Hermer to resign after he likened those criticising the ECHR to the Nazis. But the truth is, Starmer should never have appointed him in the first place. Why did he? Because they share exactly the same views. Britain deserves better than the pair of them.
So Britain deserves better. You know what, guys? If I'd have watched this video, I would have had that as the opening to the stream. Britain deserves better. Right. I will play that video again, ladies and gentlemen. I want that to be the main focus. But listen, I guess we're on now. Can you guys? Hang on. Let me just find this. Hang on. Give me a second. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll come to your comments. I'll give you a second, guys, and I'll come to your comments. Right, literally, give me 2 seconds. I just need to press some buttons. That one. I need to press this one, that one. Right, there we are. Yeah, I will be playing this video again, ladies and gentlemen. I will be playing that video again because I do think it's important. I do think it's important for everyone to understand the actual state of the United Kingdom right now. Right, let me come on to the comments, guys. Let me come on to the comments. And good morning, everyone. Guys, listen, if you're listening, whether you guys are listening on YouTube or whether you're listening on TikTok, I'm also going to try and stream on X as well as soon as I figure out how to do that. Apple users joined, King Ronald's joined, Farmers joined, Mr. Max has joined, Witchy has joined, Zoe1111 has joined, Trevor, spelled very peculiar, Debbie Doobs is here, sorry, Debbie Doobs, not D. Laura, Matty Scott, somebody just called T joined. Good morning, Debbie Doobs, to you. Debbie 1973 is here as well. Good morning, Debbie 1973. Good morning, Jean Pro Throw. Good morning, G Marie Gen X is saying, hello, I'd rather generic than streeted. Yeah, look, guys, you see how politics works. Robert Jenrick was always the candidate to lead into the next election, always. Now, he's taken a step back and he's able to do things now without that political, microscope focusing on him. So he's building his platform, he's building his, presence. And again, when people say that reform's going to take over at the next election, I just don't see it, guys. I genuinely don't see it. As much as I want to help anyone who wants to bring back British culture, I just can't, I seriously, I can't see, I don't see this whitewash that people are talking about with reform. Where are we? Right. Yeah, I'd rather Robert Jenrick. Four Paws, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Guys, good morning. D. Marie Gen X. Herma was on the board of Hope Not Hate. Join the dots. Right, I didn't know that. Let me pin that comment. So, D. Marie Gen X is saying that Lord Herma was on the board of Hope Not Hate. I will try and find that online later. April is saying good morning, and Spicy Odds. Oh, Spicy Olds. Old Spicy has just joined. Hello, Old Spicy. How are you? Sharon Owen is saying good morning. D. Region X, right? He's saying, imagine trying to get Jerry Adams millions in compensation, walks like a duck and all that. Blinky 103's joined. Tanya Marie, the ECHR court ain't a good court. Tanya Marie is saying we need the ECHR sadly. So the ECHR is the European Court of Human Rights. Now, as a Brit, as somebody who's British, I know that British standards are head and shoulders. Okay, I'm talking about my experience now in the military. I know that the standards in the British military are head and shoulders above anyone else. The legal structure, the way they hold themselves to account, that's above and beyond anyone else. Now, in my opinion, being law to the ECHR, which in my opinion is a lesser standard than the standards we hold ourselves to, is kind of like a country with a low GDP, like Britain, for example, sending money to a country with a high GDP, like India, for example. These things just don't make sense. So while we're saying, we need the ECHR, yes, I agree, we need human rights. But what about a British court of human rights that's more powerful, that's more just, that's more structured than the ECHR? Because I would argue, is the European Court of Human Rights being held up in places in Eastern Europe, for example, as it is in the United Kingdom? A good litmus test for this is, remember when there was the horse meat, what was it, in Findus? Remember when there was the horse meat scandal in Finder's crispy pancakes, and the problem was that people in Eastern Europe, I can't remember where it was. I think it was Eastern Europe. I might be wrong. But basically, people in I think it was Eastern Europe. I'm going to say what I think, guys. I might be slightly wrong on this, but basically, as I understand it, people in Eastern Europe were selling beef they were selling horse meat and pretending it was beef, and then that went into Finder's crispy. I think it went into Finder's crispy pancakes or something. It came out. It was a massive scandal, and it turns out these laws and legislations that are rife in Europe, they're being pushed through on people in the United Kingdom. People in the United Kingdom adhere to them to the letter. other places in Europe, they don't adhere to these laws as stringently. So there you understand that that's kind of another litmus test on some people are paying lip service to some of these laws, whereas in the United Kingdom, we pay absolute, we are absolute with our laws and our legislations. So yes, we do need we do need human rights in this country, believe me. But having our human rights dictated to us by someone in Brussels, I just don't think that works. Right, let me get the rest of these comments, guys. Let me get the rest of these comments. Yeah, we've done the ECHR. Four Paws is saying, keep tapping the screen, peoples. Keep tapping the screens. And if you're watching on, and in London, we've got Claire over on YouTube is saying, greetings from West London. Four Paws, keep tapping the screen. Debbie Doobs is saying, it's all a setup. Sharon Owen is saying, I saw TikTok, someone saying there's a UK Doge on X. There's a UK Doge on X, so there's a UK Department of Government Efficiency. He said, I don't know how that would work in the United Kingdom because we have a totally different setup. But listen, Elon Musk's come out overnight, and he's actually thrown his. Listen, I'm going to call it now. I am going to call it now, guys. I think Elon is a good guy. I think he's a good guy. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. I think he understands the game he's playing, and what he's thinking is right. If I'm here, I can do some net good. Look, guys, I'm calling it now. I do think Elon is a good guy. Right, let me jump down. Daniel Payne is saying, hi, Raven, hope you are well. I am at the tippity top of my physical and mental condition, Daniel Payne. Thank you so much. Right, let me just send a message, guys, in 2 seconds. I forgot to ask my friend over in Kiev for an update, so let me just quickly ask for an update, and we may get this while we are live. Hang on. Any updates from Kiev, mate? Sorry. Right. So hopefully we might be able to get some update from Ukraine while we're live. Emma Green is saying, I quite like Robert Jenrick. Yeah, look, guys, I do as well. But this is the political pomp and pageantry, the switch and bait. I don't think anybody was in any illusion that Kemi Badenoch was going to see the Conservative Party through to the next election. What I think is going to happen, Robert Jenrick's going to be growing his platform. He's going to be growing his public support. He's going to be growing his likes, his shares, his followers, his subscribers. You know, you guys know what I mean. We're all in a social media world now. And then just before the next election, they're going to have a switch and bait. Kemi Badenoch's going to be out and Robert Jenrick will be in. I said this lots of times, guys, all right? The next election results is going to be a Conservative win with Nigel Farage as Deputy Prime Minister. And you know what, guys? I'm going to say that's a good thing. Jody Lee is saying, good morning to you, Jody Lee. Tanya is saying, Tanya Marie there, we were just talking about the European Courts of Human Rights, and I think we should have a British Court of Human Rights. The laws should be passed by Brits, not people in Brussels. Debbie Doobs is saying, state Canadians in farm foods had horse meat in them. Really? Is that a thing? I didn't know that, guys. I did not know that. But yeah. Lulswell saying hi. Debbie Doobs is saying they eat horse in France. Yeah, listen, I can remember when this horse meat scandal happened. Me and my mate Rob, who was like sat there last night, we're like, right, you know what? I want to try horse meat. So we went to all right, guys, I may lose subscribers over this, I may lose followers, but we went and we actually tried horse meat, and look, I can't say anything about the French because I'll get the video banned, but I'm not sure I'm just going to say I'm not sure how people can eat horse meat, guys. It feels funny when you're eating it. Emma Green is saying, what was happening last night in Syria and Israel? We'll come on to that in a minute. Isn't that Doge thing under Farage? Emma Green is saying, right, let me pin this. So a few people are asking over on the chat on TikTok about this, the Doge thing under Farage. So first of all, the Department of Government Efficiency in America, you can do it in America because the president of America has authority. You know, the president of America can sign executive orders. They can, you know, they can say, right, Elon Musk has, there's an executive order here. Elon and the Doge can come into your companies and they can look at any information that they deem necessary. In the United Kingdom, that just wouldn't happen, ladies and gentlemen. It wouldn't happen because you would have to have something called, oh, hang on. Sorry. In the United Kingdom, that can't happen because everything has to go through Parliament. It has to be voted on, and then those votes can be voted down. Now, so in the United Kingdom, I would speculate that there are a lot of departments that are run up by government ministers. And do we really think those government ministers are going to be voting to close themselves down? It's literally turkeys voting for Christmas, guys. I don't see a Doge being able to get up and running in the United Kingdom. I really don't. Although, listen, I would love a Doge in the United Kingdom, and I personally, look, guys, when I sit here and I make these videos and I make these huge claims, it's because I know this industry, and I'm confident that I personally could shave billions, literally billions, off the defense budget. And I could do that in probably like less than a week. Honestly, guys, like the amount of money the MOD waste on the waste is unbelievable, guys. The waste is unbelievable, and most of it can be identified as just red tape, and that's kind of the problem. Right, let me get these comments. Oh, Google has nailed a load of comments. Right, April is saying no, it was reported. Nigel said it. Right, okay, so April, yeah. So I think the idea of a Department of Government Efficiency in the United Kingdom, everybody's up for it, but being able to do that with the political system structured as it is in the United Kingdom, it's just like a non-starter. Googly say Chancellor recommits to pledge not to increase taxes on working people. Right, do you know what? Me and Sarah just went to. Me and Sarah were just out we were just out shopping. Hang on. So me and Sarah were just out shopping for the third time, and in Primark now they're charging 15 pence for a paper bag. They never used to do that. We went to McDonald's, and there's a notice up there saying, I can't remember what the date is, but they're going to have to start charging for paper bags as well. Hang on. So they're going to be charging for paper bags as well. Then we went and I looked at, their Stella Artois, they're starting to do an unfiltered beer. Well, I looked at that, I thought, why would you do an unfiltered beer? Well, I think that behind the scenes at Stella, there's new taxes now on everything. So at Stella, they're thinking, how can we keep our profit margins high and our alcohol content high while still keeping those profit margins? So what they're doing at Stella now is they're just not filtering their beer, and they're classing it off as this is unfiltered, it's better, it's nicer, it's got more flavour, which it has, but the process of unfiltering is less expensive than filtering that beer. So you can see all these companies now understanding that tax is coming. And again, whatever Rachel Reeves says, I believe, like, remember when they said they're not going to tax working class people? And what they did is they taxed the employers. So what did the employers do? The employers just sacked people. They said, right, you know what? We can't actually afford to continue. My friend who was sat there behind us last week, he works for a big company, and he was telling us the company that he works for, the new taxes has cost like, I think he was saying it cost 50 to 70 grand a month, an extra 50 to 70 grand a year on taxes. Now, the companies are still making money so they can continue, but at some point with these taxes, guys, companies are not going to be able to make money. And what we were talking about as well, the product that company produces, the price of that has had to go up to reclaw some of that money back, so those profit margins, so they can keep operating. That gets passed down to the customer. The customer picks that product up on the shelf and they think, That's too expensive. I'm going to put that down. I'm not going to buy that. In time, in months, that has a knock-on effect to the company. The company don't make as much revenue. The company have to let people go. Guys, look, tax is theft each and every way. The only way, and I will say this till I am blue, purple, red, yellow, orange in the face. The only way the only way a country gets rich is to take money from another country. That is it. There's no exceptions. There never has been. There never will be. All right. The only way that a country gets rich is by taking money from another country. Now, that might sound harsh and heartless, but unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that is business. You're in business to make money. And we as a country should be in business to make money. We shouldn't be in business to tax people into poverty. Right. Sorry, guys, about that little rant. Let me come on to the comments. We've done that one, done the taxes. Winter fuel payment U-turn will affect before next winter, says Rachel Reeves. Britain promises Ukraine 100,000 new drones. How much is that going to cost? That's going to be like, that's going to be at least like, that's going to be a fair few millions, isn't it? That's going to be a fair few millions, you know. Yeah, okay. Well, I actually saw this. Do you know what? I Googled it. So let me pin this because I saw this a couple of months back, actually. Hang on. Let me pin this. Right, so Google is saying Britain promises Ukraine 100,000 new drones. I actually saw this. A couple of months back, or do you know, it might have even been the back end of last year, on one of the government portals where they bid for contracts. And again, like when I always say, ladies and gentlemen, all the information's out there and it's readily available and open source. The government actually, all these things that the government are wanting to buy and produce, and the goods and services that they want to produce, these things are all put out to tender months in advance, and months before they're put out on the mainstream media. So, you know, when I come out here and I say Britain is going to give loads of drones to Ukraine, and people are like, oh, Sean, where are you getting this information from? I'm like, no, it's like all the information is out there, readily available. All you have to do is look for it or know where to look for it. Yeah, and there was a big bid out, like a couple of, I think it was end of last year for, I think it was actually 100,000 drones to produce. I think they went with several companies. Oh, an emigrant, right, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be controversial. Emma Green is saying horse meat is lovely. Listen, I've tried horse meat. I didn't like it. I kept thinking of like little ponies, you know, little ponies prancing around. I just couldn't eat it. But Emma Green is saying it's lovely. I don't know. I don't know where we're going with that. Hang on. The comments have just swizzled up. Horse meat. Debbie Doobs is saying the state Canadians disappeared after the horse meat thing. Sharon Owen, what do you think? This is a good one, actually. I was going to do a standalone video on this. Well done, Sharon. Sharon Owen is saying, what do you think about Nigel pushing Bitcoin? It seems like Nigel is in lockstep with what's happening in the United States. You know, the Trump family are pushing cryptocurrency. Look, guys, let me be clear, all right? Like there's loads of memes about cryptocurrency and meme coins and people making a load of money. I would personally not recommend you even step your tiptoes in that, because I don't think it's viable. I think a lot of people lose a lot of money, and a lot of rich people who know the inside trading, I think that they make all the money. All right, so I'm just going to be quite clear on that. I'm not advocating, and I don't see a line of events where I would advocate for any cryptocurrency or any of that sort of stuff, guys, right? Always, I would say, if you've got spare money, put it into things that you can use: food, water, fuel, all right? So I'm just going to caveat that. But Nigel Farage has been pushing Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, so I do think it's all part of this AI takeover to 15-minute cities. Remember, remember how the World Economic Forum, where they were talking about, what were they talking about? They were talking about 15-minute cities, and everybody said that the 15-minute cities were bad. Hang on. I just got a comment here, guys, over on YouTube, not from Nothing But the Truth, saying I can't see any comments. So if you're watching now, guys, I'm actually double streaming. I'm streaming on TikTok and I'm streaming on YouTube. So if you can't see the comments that I've pinned on YouTube or you're watching them later on, then that's because it was a comment on TikTok and I can't show the TikTok comments on YouTube and I can't show the YouTube comments on TikTok. So just to iron that out for anyone. Okay. Also, a comment from YouTube. What do you think of Reform not having a single MP in the House in the House for the Defence White Paper? I don't actually know, to be honest. I don't know what I think of that, John. Hang on, let me no, I don't know what I think of that, John. So John's asking me a question, I'm going to respond in real time, and I'm not going to swizzle away from the answer. I would say that they want to, well, I'll tell you what the method of operandum is. If an MP doesn't want to vote one way or another on something and they want to let that go through, but they don't want to be criticised for either voting for it or against it, they will just not be there. A good example of this is when Boris Johnson there was something happening in Parliament, and Boris Johnson Boris Johnson ended up being in France or something, so he couldn't vote on it. So I think John Anderson is asking about this. I think the answer to that is I think that Reform would have supported, again, this is just me speculating in real time, I would have said that Reform would have supported this, but they didn't want to support Labour, so they were all out of house, so they couldn't vote for it, knowing that it would go ahead, knowing that their votes against it wouldn't have mattered. That's what I think. Nothing But the Truth is saying, oh, I see why, right, okay, I have lifted money out of the bank, bought a greenhouse. Oh, so Nothing But the Truth has bought a greenhouse. Look, guys, you know what? We forget, you know what a fantastic, I'm just going to pin that, yeah. So, who has a greenhouse? Who has a greenhouse in their garden, you know, and who grows their own food? Do you know what? I've totally failed this year. For those of you who've been watching, last year we tried to grow tomatoes in the garden. Absolute catastrophic failure. Massive failure. We had like it was the biggest failure I've ever seen, you know, the tomatoes we grew in the garden. But yeah, like a greenhouse, you know, a greenhouse I think is a solid investment, guys. I do. I think a greenhouse will I think you'd be better. Listen, I'm not telling you how to spend your money, but I would suspect that buying a greenhouse is a better investment than you know, a better investment than like some meme coin with, I don't know, some crazy thing on it. Googly saying Trump rocked as China launches its latest economic weapon. Right, I'll come on to that. I don't know what that is. Emma Green, Sean, watch out for the information to be coming about the 13th of September by Tommy Robinson. I'm assuming that is. It's going to be mad. Is anyone to Tommy's rally in September? I'd love to go. Emma Green, Scotland are doing it already. I don't know. Oh, the bags, right, the bags. Okay, so Scotland already are charging money for the paper bags. Can you see now, guys, how come? Look, I went the other day for the girls. The girls were in bed and like, Daddy, we want a Mackey's. So I went to the Scottish fast food restaurant and I got like a breakfast. And honestly, like, I don't know, guys, but it does seem to me that the price in McDonald's has absolutely rocketed. And now they're charging for brown paper bags as well. So what are we supposed to do now? We just go in with like, I don't know, you go in with your bag from Life from Aldi and say, fill that? Like, where does this go, guys? But, you know, you see now companies trying to claw back every penny. Tucker Dixon is saying he's had unfiltered beer for years. Does unfiltered mean a worse hangover? Asking for a friend, says D. Marie Gen X. Do you know what, guys? I don't actually know. I don't think it makes any difference, actually. I know with spirits. I think that's something with spirits. Like if you have like a vodka. Right, I can't talk about alcohol, guys, because it'll get the live ban. Rachel from Crowns is looking at adding more to national insurance. Yeah. So what I would say there is, and this is me speculating because obviously I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I think Rachel from Accounts will be putting more I think Rachel from accounts will be putting more tax on employers. Then she can stand up and she can say, you know, she can say, oh, we're not doing any more taxes to the working people. We're protecting working people. You know, we're gonna protect the working people and we're gonna tax those employers. You know, those with all the profit margin. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, when a business becomes unsustainable, people close them down and people leave, and that is what we're seeing, guys. Where we are, there was a steakhouse in near where I live, in a place called Rotherham. Fantastic steakhouse. It was called what was it called? I want to say it was called like the Texan steak or something. But anyway, guys, what I'm saying is, you know, huge, like massive thing in the town, closed down, gone, finished, over. They did an article, said, look, we're not profitable now. The alcohol tax, the food tax, the national insurance tax, we can't operate as a business. So now that business, rather than paying tax, you see where we're going now, guys? That business, rather than paying a tax every year, rather than paying national insurance every year, they're not paying that. Potentially their staff are now unemployed, so taking money from the system. So the tax raises is closing business and they're getting no money now. So the raise in taxes is actually producing less revenue. I've said it before, I'll say it again, ladies and gentlemen. The only way that a country gets rich is to take another country's money. That's it, period. Doesn't matter. I don't care what anyone says, your best economists, you know, oh no, we can blah, 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 blah. No, you can't. You can't do that. You can't do anything, guys. Think about it. Just think logically. How does Britain become rich? Well, we can print more money, but that just puts the price up of everything. We can give everyone £1 million. Just here as £1 million in your bank, puts the price up of everything. Nothing will change. The only way as a country we get rich is by getting money from somewhere else. And as a country, the only option is to get money from another country. So taxing people, guys, it's not good. All it does is make people poor. If it was me, I would get rid of every tax and I would have tariffs on international trade. I would push international trade, and that's how I would roll. Right, guys, there are so many comments here. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get them all. Google is saying the Trump envoy says the risk levels are going up after Ukrainians hit the Russian bombers, and I would say the Kursk bridge as well. Yeah, so you see now, guys, right, you've got this like fake, in my opinion, it's fake, we've got this fake peace negotiation, we've got this fake peace negotiation in Istanbul. My thoughts on this, ladies and gentlemen, I can talk about this because nobody's told me about this. Hang on. Yeah, so I can talk about this, ladies and gentlemen, but I would say all these peace negotiations and these, I would say all these are there to do is to delay things until countries can build up their munitions. That's what I think they're there for. You know, this has happened before. The precedent has been set. Have you noticed more happening now to the summer of chaos? It's not looking good. Yeah, April, do you know what? I think I did... I don't know if I did I may have done a standalone video to this, but have you noticed now, guys, on these platforms, there's a lot of really big channels talking about the likelihood of things happening this summer. People are talking about it's inevitable. You know, you've got this guy, David Bettany. Is it David Bettany or David Betts? Or you know, talking about what's happening in the United Kingdom. Huge channels now talking about it. I'm not going to say I was talking about it first, but I was. Now, what we're talking about on this channel is what comes after that. So we are going to have the summer of carnage. You know, I don't think, me saying it now, it doesn't have any more weight than when other people say it. So what I'm looking at now is, right, how does the summer of carnage end? Well, first of all, it's going to end when people go back to work, because that critical mass is not going to be there anymore. So what's that going to lead into? Remember, you're going to have remember how I give like the bullseye of, you know, the percentage of per 100 people, you might have one person that's going to go crackers. You've got probably 5 people who see one people going crackers and they're going to go bananas. And then the people outside that, and you get this escalatory factor. Obviously, with 100 people, with 1,000 people, with 100,000 people, those numbers go up. That 1% after the summer of carnage, they're going to continue. They're going to continue their, whatever you class it as, and I'm not just talking here one side of any argument. I'm talking all sides of all arguments here. So whether you're whether you live in the United Kingdom and you identify yourself as Jamaican, as Syrian, or whatever, however it's exactly the same. And these are where these divisional lines are going to be. And out of all those crowds, you're getting the same amount of, the same amount of crackers, bananas, biscuits, and I think the last one was Monster Munch. So all these, when you put them all together and the summer of carnage has stopped, people are back at work, you don't get that critical mass anymore, those people are still going to be angry. Those people are still going to continue forwards with whatever stuff they were doing. And this is going to lead into, I think we called it the Winter of Doom, didn't we? I think I've not found a better name for it yet, guys. I may do a standalone video of the Winter of Doom, but lots and lots of other bigger channels are now talking about this, guys. Now talking about this. Oh, hang on. I've got some comments here. Quite a few comments here over on YouTube. I will just get to these guys, okay? Comments on YouTube. Don't go to them. Don't give them your hard-earned money, is saying Sonara. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Itching the Thing is saying, of course, hang on, I'll put this up. Itching the Thing is saying, more tax. We have a war to fight now, after all. Starmer wants to fight Russia for America. And that, what's not to like? Yeah. You know what? If you've been watching this channel, like, especially on YouTube, you can actually search for the video titles. I've been saying this is coming for such a long time, and you can see it now, guys. It's here. The diversions has happened. So most European countries now are very critical of what's happening in the Middle East, what the support for anything that's happening in the Middle East. And the Americans are looking like any day now we're going to pull the plug on funding this conflict in Ukraine. And Britain is now the de facto leader of this coalition of the winning. So coalition of the winning. So these things have happened now. But remember, there is going to be absolute carnage on the streets in the United Kingdom. Hang on, right? We finally got some trolls over on YouTube. Gary Mathers is a troll. I'm just going to put him in the bin. I'm going to put him in the timeout bin for now. I'm going to put Gary Mathers in the timeout bin for now. Gary, yeah, you're right. So I've had to put someone in the timeout bin over on YouTube. But don't worry about it, guys. Don't worry. I can do this all day. And you know what? Like, people, I don't even have guys, listen, I don't even have, I've got so much to get through now without having to deal with, like, trolls who are not even articulating themselves correctly. Like, I always say, guys, look, if you're going to troll me, I'm totally fine with it. But at least articulate it something into legible sentences that doesn't sound like it's been written by a 6-year-old who's still on Billy Blue books. But anyway, let's continue. So we're back over to TikTok now. Right, 2 Chinese scientists have been arrested over. I don't think we can talk about that. Sarah Marie Gen X is saying, got plastic ones, saving for a glass one, but all right, we're talking about growing our own food there. Yeah, okay. My first growing. Oh, Sharon's growing potatoes this year. Listen, we grew potato. Look, we went down the potato rabbit hole as well. We grew potatoes for the first year. We decided to grow stuff. We grew potatoes, and it was absolutely fantastic. We had like loads. The girls were going out there, they were digging in their hands and bringing potatoes in for the dinner. And, you know, they ate all the potatoes as well, which was always a good thing. We thought, right, what are we going to do next year? So we decided to do tomatoes. Absolute failure, and it really swizzled us. And this year we've not really had a chance to get anything in the ground. Although I do want to do pumpkins. Tyler Evans, could the UK ever have an Iron Dome system, or is that unviable, or do we have a similar problem? Yeah, so no, the UK would never be able to have an Iron Dome system. The UK is too big. So for those of you guys who don't know, the Iron Dome system is what the Israelis use. It's basically the whole of Israel is covered by radar, and if something comes over the wall, the Iron Dome radar will lock onto it, and it will send 2 missiles up to intercept it. Those missiles will intercept that while it's in the air, and kaboom. That works for Israel because Israel is a relatively small country. It would never be able to work for the United Kingdom. It's too big. And I would say also that that is not the real threat coming to the United Kingdom. The real threat coming to the United Kingdom, I believe, is already here in the form of saboteurs, agent provocateurs, or if you want to use the Russian, tatushkas. Debbie's got planters as well. Debbie Doob's got planters. Sarah Marie is looking for a solar generator to run a fridge and freezer. Yeah, do you know what? We were talking about that because I've got a ton of meat in the freezer, and the last thing I want that is to go down. Priv Caro is saying Jens Stoltenberg just said he doesn't think we will get invaded, but sabotage is possible in Norway. Yeah, look, guys, these are things I've been talking about, and I've been telling you these things are coming for over a year. You know, the numbers don't add up to the numbers don't add up, and you've got to understand it. Like there is a strong argument to say the invasion's already happened. So yeah, Jens Stoltenberg apparently, allegedly, is just said he doesn't think that Norway will get invaded, but sabotage is a possibility. You know, I think these things are already happening. And Jens is just trying to downplay the war. 200 shots of a young boy is, oh God. Right, Emma, I'm just going to pin that. I don't want to say what you've just said, but that's terrifying. Hang on. Right, there are so many comments, ladies and gentlemen. I'm genuinely not sure I'm going to be able to get all these comments. I'm not. When I've got subscribers only on like this, guys, I do want to get to all the live comments. But I'm really struggling because there are literally so many. April is saying, I'm 51, started back boxing after 10 years. Well done, you, April. Well done. Listen, everybody, I think, should get into some sort of fitness. You know, either whether it's running out on the street, whether it's CrossFit, whether it's just running up the stairs, maybe once or twice a morning, and build from that. With fitness, guys, all right, you've got to start at your own pace. You can't be disheartened by thinking you can't do things that you used to be able to do. You're never too old with fitness, guys. You are never too old. I remember a guy called, it was one of my mentors, actually. I'm not going to mention his name. His first name was John. Let's just leave it there. I can remember seeing John when he was 55, all right? And I remember seeing John when he's ex-military. I remember seeing John at 55 go running up Pen y Fan in Wales, and like young fit men, they were in absolute agony behind him, and he's flying up there at 55, and I was like, wow, like he really opened my eyes to like fitness and what an acceptable standard is, because I was led to believe that when you get to 35, it's all over for you. But I'm like 43 now. I'm still hitting my personal bests. Right, let me jump down and get these chats. Good morning, Linda Lou. Good morning. I started walking a year ago, fittest I've ever been in years, 3 stone down. Oh, well done to you, Debbie Doo. But yeah, with anything, guys, like fitness with anything, right? You've got to start off low. You've got to start off small, achievable goals, and keep going. Keep working on those gains. You know, on a Friday, You know, on a Friday night where you want to crack a few cans and sit down in front of the TV? Don't, all right? Save your money. Don't have a pizza. Go and get yourself some gains. Instead of having that beer and that pizza, go out running, lift some weights, get yourself fitter, live longer. You know, that would be my advice anyway. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are just joining, all right, the crux of this video is what Robert Jenrick's just come out with, basically. So he just posted a video, hang on. So he just posted I will be playing this video in a second if the sound's on. So I will be playing this video a couple of times today, guys. I should have probably played it before. So this is a video of Robert Jenrick, all right? He's talking about the British Attorney General, and the Attorney General has been handpicked by Keir Starmer. Now, I'm just going to play this video. And let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Why is it that Keir Starmer's Attorney General, Lord Hermer, represented all these clients? He says cab rank rule, and it's a vital legal principle. Gary, what's the cab rank rule?
It means the first cab from any rank must take the first customer.
Easy. And it's the same for many lawyers. Criminal barristers can represent people accused of horrific crimes because everyone knows they had to take the case. What's true for our criminal barristers just wasn't true for Lord Herman. He was a top human rights lawyer. He would have been inundated with cases, able to choose the pick of the bunch. And what's more, he often worked on a pro bono or no win, no fee basis. And the cab rank rule just doesn't apply to these cases. In other words,
so basically what he's saying there is defense lawyers in the United Kingdom, they have something called cab rank rule, which is basically the first case that comes up, the lawyers have to take it, or the legal system, you know, they have to defend, they have to take that case in the context that they have to defend people, and these people may be really bad, and represent people. Sorry, and these people may be really bad. But what he's saying in this video is that this Lord Hermer, who is now the UK, I was going to say UK Defence Minister, the UK's Attorney General, he was picking and choosing his cases. Now, just listen to some of the big names that this guy has represented. Remember, he's picked and choose these guys, and he's represented these off his own back.
But when Hermer's cab arrived, he chose his passengers. Jerry Adams, not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 terrorists linked to Al-Qaeda, including 2 of Osama bin Laden's lieutenants, 1 linked to 9/11, and 1 to 21/7. The mother of an ISIS beetle, Shamima Begum.
So just for you guys know, he said that these ISIS beetles, those were the guys that were going around and removing things from people.
Caribbean nation demanding reparations, and an Eritrean who was here illegally, who claimed to be 16, who was actually 26.
Can you remember that, guys? Can you remember when we had all those refugees come over and they said they were like 12 or something, and they had like beards, and there was like 6'2", and like, no, I'm 12. War has done this to me. War has done this to me. What? What are you on about? And then they're sat there in like uniforms at secondaries. Can you remember that, guys? Let's not forget that actually happened. All right. So let's just continue with this video.
Who wants to spend their life defending Britain's enemies? That's on them and their conscience. But that someone shouldn't be chosen to be our Attorney General.
What he's saying there, ladies and gentlemen, Robert Jenrick is saying, if people want to defend people or want to represent people who are against Britain, who want to bring down the British idea, who want to do anything against the state and the normal good people of this country, if people want to defend that type of person, that is absolutely fine. That is on them. That's up to them. That is their prerogative. But what he's also saying is that person then shouldn't, under no circumstances, be made the Attorney General of that country he's represented so many people against.
We've never had an Attorney General so connected to so many people suing the British government. Now, before the general election, Hermer represented 5 Sri Lankans seeking asylum in the United Kingdom. They lost the case. After the election, they were granted asylum in a special deal. Now, even if all the correct procedures were put in place on conflicts of interest, Even the perception of this kind of stuff damages public trust. Last week, people called for her.
So, public trust, right now, ladies and gentlemen, public trust is the biggest, like public trust right now, guys, it's the biggest problem that we have in this country. If the public trusted the government, none of these problems would happen. But the problem is, well, not the problem, but the reality is everybody's got one of these things. Everybody can record stuff, and all the information is readily available for everyone to see.
To resign after he likened those criticising the ECHR to the Nazis. But the truth is, Starmer should never have appointed him in the first place. Why did he? Because they share exactly the same views. Britain deserves better than the pair of them.
Yeah, and like I said before, guys, you know, I should have probably had this live stream saying Britain deserves better. Right, guys, I've just got a little bit of breaking news here from 23 minutes ago. I'm just going to read you these. I'm just going to read you these headlines, guys. All right. This is from the BBC, so you know, take it with. I'll show you how this feeds into the narrative that we've been talking about. So this is the headline from the BBC, guys, all right? So anybody who's going to, oh, Sean, you're being fake newsy, right? I'm not being fake news. I'm literally reading from the BBC. Gaza worse than hell on earth. International Red Cross chief tells the BBC as aid centres close for the day. So where's this peace deal coming from then, guys? Where's this peace deal coming from? You know, when Donald Trump came out and he said he's going to have peace in the Middle East, peace in Ukraine, peace all over the world. We've been following this, and I would speculate that things now are an order of magnitude, or I forgot what to call it, are an order of magnitude worse than they were before Trump took over. You know, and you know, if we're talking about actual suffering, I would say things are worse now than they were a year ago. But the problem is, you know, people just seem to be numb to these things that are happening. So let's just continue, actually, guys, because there's some live reports. Dozens join anti-war protest in Israel. That's not a small but growing anti-war group of Jewish and Palestinian citizens of Israel. Our blood supply is running out. Hospital director tells the BBC. Listen to the debate today. Right, yeah. So it looks like this was just breaking news from 23 minutes ago. Gaza worse than hell on earth. International Red Cross chief tells the BBC. Oh, and Google is saying Keir Starmer's going live now. Hang on, let's see if I can find this. Right, where is that? Just trying to find this live, guys. No, I can't find it. Right, can somebody tell me where Keir Starmer is live? Can somebody tell me where Keir Starmer is live, guys? Can somebody tell me where Keir Starmer is live? So we can listen to it. Are we talking about questions? Right, okay, PM's question time. Sorry, I thought it was an announcement. I'm not going to go over to the question times, guys. I'm not going to go over to the question times. Right, got some comments over on YouTube. Itching the Think is saying we're good to go now. We're back in the UK. And Lord Toffingham is saying stop the world. I want to get off. Listen, we may be getting off sooner than we think because there's a huge asteroid heading towards us. And it's due to make its closest approach on the 29th, on Friday, the 13th of April, 2029. But let me just give you guys this one as well. Because I do keep up to date with asteroids, guys. I'm a bit of a nerd. So tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, there's another close flyby, all right? So I'm just going to read this, and you'll understand why I'm reading it, why I'm reading it relatively long, all right, and why I'm giving you the facts and figures, okay? So NASA tracks 1,400 foot asteroid in close Earth flyby. So this is what they consider a close Earth flyby. All right. So this is in the top 3% of asteroids by size. It's set to fly close by the Earth tomorrow, the 5th of June. Wait. The asteroid is, just listen to this, guys. Please listen to these numbers. The asteroid is expected to come within 3.5 million kilometers. 3.5 million kilometers, all right? That's deemed close, all right? And they're talking about this in the news, and they're talking about how close it is to the Earth. 3.5 million kilometers, all right? The asteroid that is coming on the 29th, on the Friday 13th of April in 2029, that is coming 20,000 kilometers. So like an absolute fraction of what this is. So, you know, and why are we not like preparing rockets and something? And why is like Will Smith not getting in his like little costume going up there to plant a bomb on the asteroid? Why is that sort of stuff not happening? You know, I just thought I'd bring that out to everyone to let people know that like these asteroids, you know, and it doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter about it. There's that movie, isn't there? What's the movie called? Don't Look Up, where like there's the asteroid heading towards us and nobody seems to care. This is what I feel like now. You know, it doesn't matter how good Donald Trump is at negotiating. You know, he can't have a deal with the asteroid. The asteroid ain't gonna care. He ain't gonna care what trade deal the asteroid's being offered. That asteroid is going where it wants to go, and there is absolutely nothing us little advanced monkeys can do on this planet about it. And like, does that not terrify anyone else, or is it just me? Right, guys, Can we keep the chat? Right, guys. Right, CX over on YouTube. Right, guys. If we're gonna throw, guys, can we just keep the chat like clean over on YouTube? I don't want to get banned there as well. Right, hang on. Sounds close considering gravitational pull, etc. Says Chicken. Yeah. Reform Essex in the OK. The only Englishman that is getting out of hand. Small hats. I don't know what that means. I don't know what. Right, guys. And if you're putting things on the chat, guys, look, I'm not going to tell anyone how to write or anything, but if you're putting things on the chat, please make them legible, because I don't know what we're saying. And again, like what I say to my daughter when she's writing something to me, I say, right, when you're writing something to someone, read it back and pretend you don't know what you're talking about and see if it still makes sense. Oh, Mr. Tyler Evans is saying, is it true that the first NASA was formed to explore the sea? I don't know, but I do know that the word NASA in Hebrew means to deceive. And Google is saying drones, 100,000 drones will 100,000 drones will cost 3.5 million, by the way. I think that's, what's that, 35? Yeah. Do you know what? Yeah, that's the exact contracts I was, yeah. That is exactly it. So 35 grand a pop. Right, I'm just going to jump down, guys. I do apologize if I've missed anyone's comment. I really do, because I know I've got the subscribers on the chat, so I do apologize. But Jody Lee is saying, between asteroids, wars, and all these volcanoes erupting, the world is an awful state. I also heard as well somewhere, and again, you know, I've not been under the ocean. I don't know whether this is true or not, but there's not an asteroid. There's a volcano that's about to erupt, I think, under the Pacific. Is it under the Pacific Ocean? Now, they're saying that if this volcano erupts underneath the Pacific Ocean, basically, if it erupts, there's going to be like tidal waves and tsunamis everywhere. I think, is it an asteroid? Not an asteroid. I think there's a volcano underneath the Pacific Ocean that's due to erupt anytime soon, and that's like, that would be really bad for people in America, I guess. NASA seems quiet on the subject. So here we are, guys. So if you can't do it, so Lisa's saying NASA seems quiet on the subject. If you can't do anything about something, you are quiet about it. It's like, and this is what happens like in politics, in geopolitics, in the military. If there's a massive problem, people just don't even, and you can't do anything about it, people just don't talk about it. Be like, yeah, just let's not worry about that. We can't do anything about it. Bruce Willis, it wasn't Will Smith, it was Bruce Willis who gets on the asteroid. Sorry, guys, it was Bruce Willis. So over on YouTube, CX is saying NASA was founded by German scientists after WW2. Yeah, we've spoke about this before, but I'll just give a quick overview on this, because I do think this is this does lead us into the occult. So NASA was formed. Werner von Braun, who used to head NASA, he was one of the lead rocket scientists in under the German regime in the Second World War. The word that we can't say. Now, he came over to the United States. There's something called Operation Paperclip. Operation Paperclip was where Britain, I think Canada, Russia, and America, they went in this and right, you guys, we're either going to send you to The Hague and you're going to be on the Tyburn jig, or you can come to us, bring your families and work for us and use your scientific knowledge. And they were like, right, so it's swinging over there or over there with my family and I get paid. Can I ask a friend? So they all went over, obviously. There's something called Operation Paperclip. Now, depending on what parts of the internet you guys go down and whichever little avenues you go down, there was something called the Eagle's Nest in Bavaria, which is where, the mustache man, he used to go there. It was his retreat, his getaway. But as legend has it, or as people are talking about, there was something down there called the Vril Society. Now, the Vril Society was a bunch of women who grew their hair long, and they used to meditate and do whatever. But as the story goes, these women down there used to get information from another planet, from an alien race or whatever, and that told them how to build these machines. And a lot of these machines were claimed that these were built with galactic tuition through the Vril Society. Now, my question has always been this. We all know about the scientists that were taken under Operation Paperclip. What about those alleged psychics, those alleged channelers? Where did they go? And could that have been the start of MK Ultra that was in the United States? I don't know the answers to these guys. I can't find any information on it. You wouldn't be able to find any information on this anyway, because it would be ridiculously serious. But, who knows? Who knows? Oh, and then Debbie 1973 is saying it's off the east coast of America, the big volcano, and she's saying it will affect 100 miles. Debbie Doobs is saying, look at Tenerife Island collapse. It will be devastating. So Tenerife Island collapsing. Sean, watch Paradise on Disney Plus. We don't have Disney Plus. Oh, hang on. There's an update. There's a live update coming. There's a live update. Hang on. Right, live update, guys, from literally less than a minute old. Nowhere is safe, says Palestinian in Gaza City. Unfortunately, there are no safe places in Gaza. Mahran Kordi tells Reuters news agency from Gaza City the scene of deadly airstrikes overnight. He explains they fled an area further north in Gaza and moved to Gaza City because there's a fly in here because the city was just unsafe. Right, look, right, I've got to give you my experience on this, ladies and gentlemen. I've got to give you my experience on this. Now, I used to work in the Middle East, and I used to work in Syria. I used to work in Syria. Now, I need to be really careful with what I'm saying here, guys. All right, I used to work in Syria. One of the places we used to work, one of the people we used to work for, in fact, no, I can't even say that. We used to do something for the company I worked for. It was called Cash for Work. All right, so as an NGO, you're not allowed to pay people. We wasn't allowed to pay people and employ people, local people. It was just something about getting us into that country. We wasn't allowed to do that. But what we could do was get people to work voluntarily and then gift them money for the work that they had done. I know it sounds weird, guys, but it's called the Cash for Work system. That's how, and that just gets money back into that. That just gets money back into that economy, and it gives people money. They can then go buy food for their families, and you get some work done. So we was doing this project, right, called Cash for Work, and we had people. We had that you can't have men and women working together. So the men were, as I understand it, the men were sweeping the streets and painting the bollards. They were painting them like white, orange, white, orange, white, orange. And the women were in like were renovating this this football pitch. So they had like stuff, and they were chopping down brush and making it nice. And I was standing with the project manager. I'm not going to mention any names, guys. All right, I'm not going to mention any names. But I was, I was walking. I was with the project manager, and I walked up, and I was. She was talking to people with the interpreter. Now I speak Arabic, but that dialect of Arabic in Syria, I speak Baghdadabic, and we're speaking Syriabic. So I don't understand everything, but I get a gist of what's being said. All right, I get a gist of what's being said. Now, the project manager was writing down information and saying like, why, collating this information, taking pictures. Then that goes back to the press. There's a press release. It goes back to the country of origin. That gets put on a board and said, look at all the good money look at all the good that your money is doing. So the project manager, she asked this woman why she was here, why she was doing this. And this woman, she said, so the interpreter said to her, why are you here? What are you doing this for? And the woman said, I'm just here to get money. I've just come up because I knew there was a job, and I knew I would get paid. So, I'm here helping, and you're going to pay me. So the project manager just nodded her head, and she said, well, has anything bad happened to you? Has something bad happened to you that you have to work? And she said, I very distinctively heard her say la, which in Arabic is no. So she said no, and then she said something else. So she's like, no, nothing bad's happened to me. I'm just here for the work to get the money. And then the project manager asked her again. She said, if something bad's happened to you, like if you've lost a member of your family, or your husband's been taken away, or something bad involving the bad soldiers has happened to you, I can write that up in a story, and we can get more money to help your community. And then she said, so has something like that happened? And the woman said to her again, no, nothing like that's happened. And then the interpreter looked at her and she said, yes, that happened. So then she wrote that down. So all that bad stuff that she wrote down then, and I know with 100% certainty that in that one instance right there that I was witnessing, that was fabricated. So when I see all these reports, and I'm not saying they're not true, I just have to take these with a pinch of salt, guys. I just have to take all these things with a pinch of salt, because a lot of things that get reported, there's no way to audit these. There's no way to audit these. Like nobody from the head office was going to travel out to Syria, find that woman and say, is this true? Like, is this true what you're saying? Like nobody's ever going to do that. So you've got to take what you're seeing in these places with a pinch of salt, guys, and just, be open-minded about what's really happening. Right, let me jump up and get some comments. Let me jump up and get these comments. So many comments, ladies and gentlemen. So we've done the NASA. Debbie Doob, it's on the Georgia Guidestones. I don't know what that means. Jodie Lee, between asteroids. Yeah, we've done that. Off the East Coast, done that. Tenerife, done that. Sure, I haven't got that. Priv Carroll, they blame us for ice melting, the sea getting hotter. Might be the volcanoes under the sea. Yeah, it could be. Listen, when we're talking about ice caps melting, polar ice caps melting, the polar ice caps on Mars are also melting at a comparable rate to the polar ice caps melting on Earth. So, like, where do we go with that information, guys? Where do we go with that information? If the polar ice caps on Mars are also melting, as I understand, there's no humans on Mars. So why are the polar ice caps melting on Mars? I don't. Hang on, guys. My mum's ringing. Hang on. Give me a second. Hello. Oh. Yeah, it were nice, weren't it? Right, I've got to go, mother, because I'm just on with something. Right, no, I'll ring you back in a bit. I'll see you later, bye. Sorry, guys, I gave my mum some of the carbonated drinks that we had last night, and she was just phoning up to say that they were fantastic. Anyway, yeah. So when we're talking about polar ice caps melting, like, just ask yourself this, guys, all right? And go and do the research yourself. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying this is the evidence that is out there. The polar ice caps on Mars are also melting at a comparable rate. So, like, what is it? Could it be the sun or is it humans? I don't know. Turn that down. Sean, give yourself a pat on the back. Remember the days when there were 30 in the chat and now we've... Oh, thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you so much. Sean, Tirana not backing down on their uranium enrichment project. Yeah, all these things, guys. You know when we talk about all these things, right? If everything we see now, all these global events, if you just think that, right, America, Iran, March 2026, work backwards from that. The United Kingdom is now taking the lead role in Ukraine 2025, and then anything that happens in the Pacific, that's going to happen in 2027. 2029, the asteroid's going to come, potential alien invasion, Anunnaki, Nibiru, planet of the crossing. We are all living in a brave new world. Yeah, Mr. Tyler, I'm going to pin this here from Mr. Tyler Evans. I'm not going to repeat it, but what we can just see there is, there's more of this, there's more of this. So Imran, listen, Imran over on YouTube has just said, your mum is telling you she is in bed with a Muslim. Listen, if you know my mother, you would know the answer to that straight away. But yeah, you're getting blocked as well. So you're going away straight away. You're gone. He's gone. I've gone. We're not taking that, guys. We're not taking that. Ironically, my mother was telling me that she'd just been drinking carbonated drinks last night. Stu Hatch is saying, when do the zombies arrive? Right, can we just have a few opinions, guys? What would be better, a zombie apocalypse or an alien apocalypse? Because we was talking about this the other night at home, and we all went with the consensus that a zombie apocalypse would be better, because an alien apocalypse, we pretty much got no chance of defeating the aliens. But then I genuinely think, guys, if there was an alien armada to head its way to Earth and they were operating on known physics, I genuinely think we'd have a chance. I really do think we'd have a chance. If it was heading here on known physics, now I'm not saying it would be, and I'm totally open to trans-dimensional universes and all that sort of stuff, but that's not what we're going. I'm saying if aliens came here using known physics, we would have a long time to prepare. And this brings me back to these asteroids. I was going to do last night, I was going to talk about, how there's this asteroid heading towards us in 2020, 2029. We all know that the asteroid's coming ridiculously close, right? We all know that the boogosphere has landed. Could it be? Could it be? Could it be? Could it be that the could it be? Sorry. Could it be that this boogosphere was a probe? Was a probe sent out by this asteroid? Hear me out, guys. Just hear me out. Hear me out. As wild as this seems, there's a lot of ancient texts, all right? And there's a lot of ancient texts. For example, did you know that in ancient Sumeria, there's actual clay tablets on the wall that depicts the solar system as we know it now with a heliocentric model? Like, did you know that, with the sun in the middle? It's got Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Did I say Jupiter on there? Basically, all the planets in order. It's got rings around Saturn. And this is like thousands and thousands of years old. So how did they know this? How did the ancients know this? And if you say, right, okay, so the ancients definitely knew that. They definitely did, because they've got it on their tablets. There's also ancient texts saying that there's a planet of the crossing, Nibiru, and it makes its pass to Earth every 3,600 years, all right? We've got this asteroid coming ridiculously close in 2029, and it's ridiculously close, guys. Nobody can say how, like, this asteroid is supposed to come 20,000 kilometers past Earth. That sounds a lot, doesn't it? No way, Bob. There's an asteroid coming close to Earth tomorrow, and they're calling that close, and that's 3.5 million kilometers. So 20,000 kilometers, guys, it's nothing. That is literally underneath some of the satellites that we have. So could it be, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just gonna leave this out there. Could it be that this asteroid heading towards Earth, the boogosphere that people have found in Italy that has been transmitting frequencies, could it be the boogosphere was an early probe from this asteroid, and this asteroid's full of aliens, and 2029 we're just going to have the alien invasion? Look, I'm not saying I think that's happening now. What I'm saying is it could. And it looks like in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we've all gone for the zombie apocalypse. And then Mr. Tyler Evans is saying, what kind of zombies? Yeah, well, this is what we spoke about last night as well, because you wouldn't want those running zombies, would you? They are just like, like the zombies off 28 Days Later, or what's the other one with Brad Pitt, the one with Brad Pitt. Like, why didn't they do a sequel to that? I thought World War Z was fantastic. So yeah, we don't want running zombies. We want nice, slow zombies. That's what we want. We want nice, slow zombies. And Stu Hatch is saying the Labour Party will survive zombies only. Eat brains. Right, let me jump down. Sharon Owen is saying your accent was on thick when you was talking to your mum. Yeah, we do this, don't we? When we talk to friends and family, the accent comes out. Have you heard, what's his name? Chris Eubank Senior, when he's like Chris. I love Chris Eubank Senior, guys. Like I want to be Chris Eubank Senior's mate. He's just fantastic. I could listen to him all day. He's absolutely fantastic. But have you heard it when he puts his Jamaican accent on? He's like, he's like, yes, well, I do enjoy this. I do enjoy this. Hey, dreadlocks, what you doing, man? You're coming here with my wardrobe. Like, you know what I'm talking about. I can't do a Jamaican accent, but I love Chris Eubank, guys. I do. Right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, I am going to close this down now. I'll be back on later. The chat will be open. I'm going to have to speak to my mum because I think she wants some carbonated drinks. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Look, guys, the crux of this video was the legal system in the United Kingdom is being run by this guy, Lord Hermer, and there's some really big question marks about where his loyalties lie. Get ready for the Summer of Carnage, guys. Get ready for these things coming. I do believe they're coming, but also be ready for the asteroid. Anyway, guys, I'll see you later. The chat will be open. I'll close TikTok down first, if it'll close, and then we will close down YouTube. We are off. Right, we are off. Right, what have we got over on YouTube? Nick GB is saying over on YouTube, Nick GB is saying, hang on, let me pin this. Nick GB is saying NASA equals Satan minus the, yeah, it does minus the T. Hence why they say T minus before liftoff. Wow. T minus. Wow. I did not, wow. Nick GB, when I come on later on tonight, because we are going to be talking about, I do want to talk about space stuff for that boogosphere later. Nick GB, when I come on later, I'm going to open with that. Thank you so much for that. That is absolute, yeah, I never even thought of that. Yeah, fantastic. There's an alien race living in Tower. Oh, I can't repeat that. Right, guys, I'm going to turn you guys off on YouTube. And if you've not done so already and you're on YouTube and you're thinking about it, you like this content, hit those buttons below, the like, the comment, the follow, the subscribe, all those things that help this channel grow, guys. The video will be uploaded later on in its entirety. And I will be back on later, guys. I'll speak to you all later.